Sir Isaac Newton once said, "If I have been able to see farther than others, it was because I stood on the shoulders of giants." 8 years ago, some determined individual and I were able to see farther than anyone on the face of the African continent because we stood on the roof of Africa. Uhuru Peak, summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, 19,341 feet above mean sea level. Climbing Kili is hard. It's difficult and life-threatening. And in this case, there was no promise of any financial reward or medal or recognition of any kind. So the question is, why did I do it? Why did I climb the mountain? Let's look at this from another perspective. Why did Nelson Mandela give up 27 years of his life? Was it because he wanted to be the president? Or why did Alain Robert, the French Spider-Man, climb tallest skyscrapers around the world? Was it because he loved being arrested after most climb? Or why did Kevin Jackson climb difficult rock faces around the world? Why? Because it's about our passion. It's what we love, our creation, part of what we are created to do. And most importantly, it is living our dreams. And that makes it worth it. I trained hard for the climb. Also spent some days in Ethiopia training with Ethiopian athletes to acclimatize my body to altitude environment. The climb took 7 days, 5 days for ascent and 2 for descent. All 7 days were all 7 grueling days of continuous hiking of up to 9 hours every day, with the exception of day 5, where we hiked for 19 straight hours. The hike took us through the rainforest vegetation, the moorland, the alpine desert, and the ice cape environment. From the alpine desert, you hardly see anything living, even ants. It's desolate. The weather was harsh and unforgiving to life form. Temperature dropped significantly as we climbed to about -4 degrees on day 4, degrees Celsius on day 4, and -25 degrees at the summit of the mountain. It was incredibly cold, and breathing was extremely difficult because of the extremely low oxygen concentration at that altitude. We commenced the final ascent midnight, hiking all through the night, through the cloud, to arrive at the summit of the mountain, where we watched the rising of the early morning sun in its purity, in its beauty, and its glory. Then we had to quickly descend back below the cloud to avoid prolonged exposure to ultraviolet light. You see, up there at the summit of the mountain was an eerie silence. It was calm, it was peaceful, it was beautiful. I had rehearsed severally what I would do when I get to the summit of the mountain, how I would walk the last few feet, and what I would say when I get there. But I forgot everything. I was captivated, I was overwhelmed by the beauty of nature at this summit. I have never seen anything that peaceful, that beautiful. Never. On the hike, 35 of us began the expedition. A number of our team members quit the climb for issues like pulmonary edema, cerebral edema, frostbite, chronic fatigue, and altitude fever. Only 11 of us made it to the summit of the mountain. And that's the picture of me, hoisting the Nigerian flag at the highest peak in Africa. And I think that was a great day for Nigeria because there was no record of someone hoisting the Nigerian flag at that highest peak. Now, after this very grueling and challenging experience, what did I learn? What did I take away from the mountain? And how has this changed my person? I learned 3 key lessons climbing Kili. The first one is what I call the resilience of the human spirit. You know, if you want something in life, if you want something out of life, you have got to be relentless. You have got to be resourceful and creative. And you have to develop the winner's quality, which is the hunger and the ability to face difficulty and defeat again and again without giving up. That is the winner's quality. I had every reason to quit the climb 700 feet short of the summit. I developed altitude fever. It was tough and the fever was bad. Every cell, every tissue, every organ, every muscle in my body were crying for me to quit. All screaming no more. But the calm little voice, the strength of the human spirit said otherwise. Kept saying to me, one more step, one more step. And that never dying strength, that one more step, took me to the summit of the mountain. You know, through this experience, I discovered what pain is not. Pain is hard, very hard. It's difficult, but it's temporal. It can last a minute, it can last an hour, it can last 7 days, as in the case of this climb, or more. But eventually it subsides, and something else will take its place. But if you quit, it will last a lifetime. I'm sure if I'd allowed the pain to end my dream, I may not be here today. I mean, what would I be telling you? I had a great quote the other day that said, human beings are the only life form that will do less than they possibly can. There has never been a tree that didn't grow as tall as it possibly could. They're hardwired to do that. But why is this so for human beings? Why? Because we have the gift of choice, which is a blessing, but it's also a curse, because it gives us something to hide behind. So my question to you here today is this. What is this gift to you? What is choice to you? A blessing? A curse? A dream killer? The second thing I learned climbing Kili was what I call the experience of walking through the clouds. Walking through the cloud was a magical experience, the sort you never forget. At about 17,000 feet above mean sea level, we approach the base of the cloud where you feel the heavy presence of the cloud over you, as though your head was bashing into something. And as you ascend further, you begin to walk into the cloud, your head first, your body, until you're totally immersed in the cloud. Then after like about 40 minutes hike, you begin to burst out of the cloud into clear skies above the cloud. Inside the cloud was dark, very dark. With your head down, you struggle to see the man next to you, even your own body. Now, what is the meaning of this? What does this experience mean? Imagine in our lives, we have a dream, we have an idea we are pursuing, and we don't know what's on the other side. Like I couldn't see what was beyond the clouds. Do we quit? Abandon the dream? Throw in the towel midway? How many times have we failed to pursue a dream all because all we could see was emptiness and bleakness? Like I couldn't see what was in the cloud. How many times? And how many dreams have we let go? How many? You know, in the quest for our dreams, there will always be obstacles, like the dark clouds. But the key is, they are only there to stop people who don't really want their dreams, and not everyone. So my question to you again is this: how well do you believe in your dreams? How strong are you holding on to your dreams? How strong? The third thing I learned climbing Kili was I rediscovered myself. You know, most people go through life never discovering what their talents are, and most people never develop their talents. Why? Because most people go through life with their brakes on, holding back on things they could have done, and they end up not utilizing all the gifts, all the talents they have brought into this universe, and they take everything back with them. No wonder Howard Tubman said, the graveyard is full of unrealized dreams and unlived life. But come to think of it, isn't it an irony that we are blessed with dreams and we don't live them? We are blessed with ideas that could benefit mankind and we never develop them, we never use them. Isn't it an irony? But why? Why? Because human nature prefers to be boxed in. We prefer to be boxed in our comfort zone. Even when we're unhappy, we chose to remain than face uncertainty to create the kind of life we want. But we chose to remain. And I think this is sad. I never planned to be an author. I never thought I could be an author. I've never considered a career authoring. I never planned to write a book about this expedition. But as we went through the climb, I began to see the enormity of the challenge, the beauty of nature with changing altitudes, the bond and the camaraderie that develops between climbers. I began to see a great story and the potential around this story. Then I said to myself, I just have to tell the story. Then I began to put my idea into action, spending about 2 hours every day after the day's hike, filling up my journal. And I continued to hold on to that dream, working with my editors. And 3 years later, the book was released online and in major bookstores around the world. And I didn't stop there. The experience has further improved my talent in this sphere. I have since released my second title and working on the third. It's all about never being satisfied, but continually pushing the boundary and gaining expansion. I believe that's what living is. You know, opportunities will always come in life. When most time we don't know, but they always come. But the key is to be prepared. It is better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. We cannot afford to be casual about life. If we are casual about life, we'll end up a casualty. And I think that's hard. Now, through this experience, I've come to realize one thing about life. It is not what we get that makes us happy, but who we become. And because we become more, we're able to give more. We're able to become better mentors, better coaches, better husbands, better role models, better fathers. The man that put mankind on the moon said, the future is not a gift, but an achievement. My question to you again is, what is future to you? And what kind of future are you laying? One last thing, I'll tell you a short story to close. George Washington Carver, in one of his memoirs, wrote about a man that was caught behind the enemy lines in a war. And he was sentenced to be killed or another option. The captain went to the man's cell and said to him, tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, you can face the firing squad, or you can walk out this door here. And the man asked, what's behind the door? The captain said, no one knows. All we can tell you is the unknown horrors. The man thought, and the next morning, he selected the firing squad. After the shots rang out, the captain's secretary asked, what's behind the door? And the captain said, freedom. I implore you all, don't choose the firing squad. Stop choosing the firing squad. Please open those doors. Travel the uncharted path. And I bet you find freedom, fulfillment, and your true self. Thank you.